Jeff and Samantha, thank you for joining us for a talk around financial freedom. We're going to focus on the 6 steps to financial freedom. And you guys are, I'm kind of the moderator, but you guys are really taking us through that journey. So I'm going to start with you, Samantha, and see, can you tell us kind of what the first step in that journey is?
Sure. So step one is to have 6 months worth of expenses in the bank.
Okay. So why is that important? Like if that's the first step, then if I'm asking, if I'm on the other end of this, explain to me why that's the first step, why that's so important.
Sure. So there's things that can happen in life. There's a lot of unexpected turns. As you can imagine, COVID has affected people financially. So it's important to have a little nest egg to fall back on. That way you don't have to worry about how to pay the bills next, and your mind is able to think of this.
Yeah. So what's interesting about that, Samantha, and I don't know if you feel this way, but COVID is a perfect example of kind of life getting in the way. And I know one of the things that we try to do with everybody is sit down and say, hey, are you going to be okay? Like, do you have a plan to have 6 months worth of reserves? So if God forbid you got furloughed or you got laid off, we know you're going to be able to cover yourself for the next 6 months, right? Like that's the exact reason that we talk about doing this stuff and probably the reason that it's that first step, right? Because if you don't have that and then you got to work your way through that process, well, now you're 6 months behind the idea that you can start to invest in all of these things because you didn't have anything to cover yourself there, right? So that makes a ton of sense. So thank you for that, Jim. Jeff, so now we get 6 months in the bank and we're feeling a little bit more, like the pressure's off us a little bit and we can start down this road. What is step 2?
So step 2 is really being financially responsible.
Okay. So, if I'm sitting there and I go, well, I'm not 100% sure what that means, and we're trying to be super clear. Yep. What does financially responsible mean to you?
So that's really, to me, it means reviewing your financial statement, or specifically your liabilities, and removing all of the bad liabilities from your financial statement. And I would define a bad liability as really a loan or a debt that has an interest rate of 10% or more. So you really want to get rid of those bad liabilities as quickly as you can.
Okay. So you say 10% as a reason. So, I'd like to talk a little bit about strategies around that. But before we get to that, why'd you come up with 10%?
10%, it's really a mark that any investments you have, you're generally not going to earn 10% on those investments. So if your liabilities have a interest rate greater than that, that just doesn't put you in a good financial position. You should really formulate a plan to remove that debt as quickly as you can, whether that is trying to refinance that debt, whether it's looking at your assets and seeing if you can pay down that debt, or if it's looking at your monthly expenses and shuffling some things around so that you can generate some extra cash flow to pay down that debt or pay extra on that debt to get it off your financial statement or your balance sheet, or remove it as quickly as you can.
Okay, but in thinking of it in the most simple of terms, it's like, hey, I got money and I can do one of two things with it. I can invest it or I can pay off debt. If the stuff I'm going to invest it in is going to make less than I'm paying in interest to somebody else, well, yeah, I should pay that debt off first. That's a responsible thing that somebody, if you're looking at this like your finances are running a business, that's what a business owner would do in that situation, right? So that's why.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes perfect sense to me. That's a super simple way to think about it. So thank you. All right, Samantha. So here we go. We're on our journey. We got 6 months in the bank. We're paying off bad debt. We're kind of trying to figure out what to do next. So what's our next step? What's step 3 in the process?
So our next step in the process is to put a plan together for financial freedom.
Okay. So again, just to create clarity, right? So is a plan to pay off 10% debt? Like, is that a plan for financial freedom, or what do you think that actually means to you?
So to me, a plan for financial freedom is having enough income coming in to pay your monthly bills without working. So that would be passive income sources.
Oh, wow. So this is a big goal. This isn't something we're fixing in a couple months. This is the 15-year plan that we're talking about here, right? How do I pay 100% of my bills with income I have coming in from my assets? That's financial freedom?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm super excited. You got me hooked now. I'm ready to be financially free, Samantha. So, is that really realistic?
Yeah, absolutely. But realistically speaking, it probably takes, like you said, about 15 years. The good news is that most people are already on this path. They just don't realize it.